Hi. Thank you for attending today's reading. Let's begin. I helped Brad Pitt's nephew find the love of his life, so this may be hard to believe. But during my junior and senior years of college, Brad Pitt's nephew was my roommate. I had no roommate first semester because I was a host for prospective students. But I quit second semester. So I had to get a random roommate. Having your own room was a perk of being a host, so my new roommate was Brad's nephew, who had basically failed out of Arkansas University, and whose parents had told him he had to go to school in their hometown, Springfield, Mo, where he, his family, Brad, and I are all from, as punishment for not doing well in school. When he first got to my school, he had orientation with other transfer students from other schools to make them all feel welcome and at home. During that orientation, he met another transfer girl who just so happened to also be coming from Arkansas University, but he had never met. He didn't really get to talk to her, but he was crazy about her. He would talk to me about her and I could just tell she was like a 10 out of 10 to him. At points he basically told me he was going to leave her alone BC he didn't have the confidence to talk to her. But I called him a pussy and dogged on him multiple times to keep him from giving up. I left school 1 year before him. But the year that I left, her brother just so happened to be moving onto our floor in our dorms the next year. We all played basketball together during my last year. And so when the girl's brother moved onto our floor after I left, their friendship grew and it was an in for my roommate to meet the girl he was crazy about. Long story short, they are now married, and I've never seen someone look so happy with their significant other. Every time I see a picture of them, I can't help but feel a little responsible and happy for calling him a pussy so many times. End of story. Next story. If you are my friend and you don't even want me to sit with you, you are no longer my friend. When I moved to a new school, I had only one friend and we had a conversation during our online class. I added him in WhatsApp too. After some time, we meet each other face to face also when the school reopens, and we were good friends, but don't know why one day when I come to sit with him in his bench, he rudely doesn't let me sit with him, and I don't know why he did that. Sometimes it feels like he was just pretending to be my friend all this time, like a fake friend, and one day, I see him whispering to one of his other friend who asked him that if I am his best friend or not, and my friend said, he is opposite of it. That's one of the reason I have very low number of friends. To be honest, in my older school, which I left after 4th grade, I had better friends there who actually cares about my presence. Most of the friends I made after moving to new school were just fake friends and just a few classmates I talk with sometimes. No friend zone whatsoever. End of story. Next story. When the quiet kid finally beats up their bully. This is my mom's philosophy. People who don't learn with words, learn with fists. After seeing the feedback on my last post, the principal called me out for uploading lesbians. I thought it would be nice to share a story that happened a while before this incident. Warning. D. Long post. Year 2018. Age 15. As the quiet kid with bad grades and the reputation of a crybaby lesbian, I was looked down upon and teased by specific kids. The bullying never got physical, but as the socially anxious and very sensitive kid that I was, it was very easy to frustrate me. And some thought it was funny. There were specifically those 2 girls who were mainly having fun with me. Let's call them Miki, dark hair, and Kinna, blonde. One day while I was drawing on my desk, I sit on the very front of class. Kinna came and started pulling my desk away. I asked her if she needs it and she simply smiled at me. She walked away and me thinking she didn't need it anymore went and put it in its place. When we got in for class she pulled it away and smiled at me once again, walking away before I could respond. That was the moment I knew she was just playing with me. I told a teacher about it and they outright ignored it. The next semester she did it again and I nicely told her, "This is not funny to me," and that made her chuckle. I did not want to fight back so I just pulled my desk back to its place after she was done moving it. She would move it away from me, on the class's corner and once even out of the class in the hallway. Thankfully the end of the school day was over and I was rather anxious. I didn't know how to react so at night I told my mom about it and she told me, if she does it again, to grab her. Very simply explained to her that this is not nice. And if she continues, to beat her up and gave me advice on how to do so. I was ready. The next day Kinna didn't do any moves on the early hours but she did it again later, while I was gone. Afterwards when I was drawing, she came and started pulling it away again. So I held the desk and told her up close, "This is not nice. You know I don't like what you're doing. Please stop," and that idiot just laughed and pulled the desk real quick. She saw this time I was about to jump on her so she began running and I went after her. The main school hallway is a big square with 4 fat poles near the edges. Kinna hid behind one and would run on the opposite direction of where I was going to decide to come from. But before she could flee I grabbed her shirt and heard a loud, skreechh, that came from the side of her shirt being ripped loose. Her head hit against the pole and she pulled back holding her lip, looking at me. "Are you crazy?" she yelled at me. I don't remember what I responded to her. I remember feeling very weird though. The bell ringed and we went in class. I sat down and suddenly Kinna kicked my chair from the back very strongly and screamed at me, "Look. What you did you btch," holding down her lip to show me the tiny amount of blood that dripped out. Now, I had already chosen my way. I stood up, screamed, "I'm gonna kill you. You old btch," and went ahead to punch her when I felt a bunch of people pulling me back. It felt amazing. I felt like people finally took me seriously. The rest of the kids told us to calm down so I simply listened and sat. The teacher walked in and Kinna sat on the very back corner of the class where she doesn't usually sit during class. She began crying and everyone paid attention to her. What happened? She's crying because Leah attacked her. I'm Leah. I froze. Are they blaming it on me? Of course they are blaming it on me. It would be my fault no matter what. Because they will only support their friend, I thought to myself. I was actually in shock. The kids started walking up to my desk. I was actually horrified because I thought I would be the only one getting punished. I wasn't crying, but I was sobbing intensely so hard I could barely speak. Yes, reminder I had very bad anxiety issues. Classmates started asking, "What happened? We're not mad at you. Just tell us," and I just couldn't respond. The teacher sent us to the principal. The principal did not have bias so I felt a lot more relaxed. Now it was just us and our points of view. Principal. What happened? Kinna. Well I just pushed her desk a tiny bit accidentally and she started chasing me. She was lying. And that's when I just felt hella confident about myself. Because she knew she did something wrong. Plus I'm a teacher's pet so everyone in the office knew I was not violent. and that the kids were teasing me. I looked at her and asked her directly, "Why are you lying? You know you were pulling my desk away repeatedly since yesterday and I told you to stop." She froze. Then I looked at the principal and told him the story in detail. He looked at Kinner and said, "We don't allow bullying in our school. If you bully any other kid you will be suspended, and then send us back in class." I felt victorious. But anxiety remained as I still had to deal with the rest of the class. To my surprise, a lot of kids supported me. And everyone respected me a whole lot more since then. Even after that they fully took my side when the incident with the principal happened. Anyway, the next day we had French class and kids started talking about it. Kinner said something to the teacher along these lines, "Now I can't do anything or else I'll be suspended," and her very best friend, Mickey, sitting right next to her, yelled at me from the other side of the class, "All thanks to you, Leah greater than." Quote, I didn't even respond, but I did have the classic teenager expression of, "How dare you." Quote, moral of the story? People who don't learn with words learn with their lives being threatened. I don't encourage anyone to actually get in a fight though, since any scenario might take place and it might not be in your favor. Also, let's understand that kids who act this way are learning it from the environment they're growing in. Nobody pops out of their mom thinking, "I wanna ruin someone's life." That behavior is learned and developed. It could have been you. Though of course all of us have every right to not want to deal with them. End of story. That is all for today. If you want to support my automated channel, feel free to drop a like and subscribe. See you tomorrow.